It's no secret that people are broke, especially people in my age group. Inflation is on the rise, it's harder than ever to find a well-paying job, and household savings have never been lower. Pretty recently, DoorDash announced the ability to order food with Buy Now, Pay Later. Buy Now, Pay Later has been around for a long time. PayPal has offered this exact same format for years, and even before PayPal did it, stores themselves would let you put items on layaway. So you might be wondering what the issue is. The issue isn't with DoorDash itself. The issue is with what this change suggests that DoorDash thinks about the average user. Let me tell you right now, I am not an economist, a financial planner, or an expert in any financial field whatsoever. I am just going to give you my opinion. Do you know what it means to live paycheck to paycheck? A lot of people will simply say that means a lot of your expenses are eating up the money that you earn. Most people get paid bi-weekly, once every 2 weeks, but bills are usually monthly. Let me put something into perspective. Most people, especially young people, do not own very much. They rent apartments, they have a car payment, some even have payments on their phones and other important items. So if one of these people lose their jobs, they have at most a month before their life starts to fall apart, assuming they've already paid their rent. Now, the obvious solution is to draw from savings, but if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have much in your savings account. And not to mention that household savings on average are at an all-time low. So losing your job can be devastating, but that's been the case for years. But it's even more devastating now because you probably don't own much. If you lose your job, in about 30 days, you'll probably receive an eviction notice. And soon after that, you'll start missing car payments if you can't find a new job. So the car that you once had, that you don't actually own, you can't even use to sleep in. If your car gets repossessed, that is. Let me ask you, if your customers are all broke, how do you make money from them? Do you lower prices? Do you make your products cheaper? The answer is none of these, of course. You give consumers the option to put themselves in debt to you. And let me be clear, buy now, pay later is debt. Quite literally, it's just unsecured consumer debt, which is also at an all-time high. If you think that people won't use buy now, pay later to pay for their DoorDash orders, you are not living in reality. Remember the Chase Bank money glitch? That was just check fraud? People did that. There was a similar issue with Cash App, where Cash App would allow you to spend more money than you had in your account. People abused that. Also, speaking of Cash App, did you know you can borrow money from Cash App? Not to mention that buying things you can't afford is kind of the norm now, from phones to cars to houses, so I guess the next step is food. From my understanding, most buy now, pay later plans have interest-free payments. The only one I've ever used is PayPal's. The question is, if they are interest-free, how do they make money? And again, the answer is simple. They pray that you miss a payment. Because once you miss that payment, they will charge you pretty high fees and interest rates, like a dealership selling a brand new Corvette to a private. And what I mean by that is some of those payments end up with 30% APR. If you genuinely have to use buy now, pay later to pay for an item you cannot afford, when that payment comes due, you might not even have money to pay it. So for a while, a lot of people were using credit cards to do that before credit card companies decided to try to do something about that and stop people from using them for buy now, pay later purchases. And admittedly, I used to have a very cynical opinion about issues like these. I used to genuinely believe that you could just grab your bootstraps, stop going to Starbucks, and be perfectly fine. Then I developed a basic understanding of economics, and I realized that people just can't afford as much as they could before. That's not to absolve reckless spenders of all of their responsibility. Maybe you shouldn't go to Starbucks because it is pretty expensive, but a couple of cups of coffee a month isn't the reason that people can't afford basic necessities. Now, a very interesting issue that I think heavily influences people in situations where they often use buy now, pay later is financial nihilism. That's a term I just made up, so nobody else can use it. What I mean by financial nihilism is people my age don't care. To clarify, I was born in 2001. I'm not 30 plus like some people have assumed. When I talk about saving, investing, or just not blowing every penny I have, it feels like I'm the unreasonable one when I talk to people around my age. And truthfully, I can't blame them. I don't think it's a good idea, but I can understand the reasoning. The perceived options are I can pay my bills and be broke, or I can have fun and be broke. Now, one of those is the objectively right thing to do, but having fun is a lot more fun than just being broke. I've been fortunate enough to have opportunities and privileges that have allowed me to live a pretty comfortable life thus far and still have excess income. Everybody isn't that fortunate, but this is the only financial advice I will give. Please don't use buy now, pay later on your DoorDash orders.